hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news, the stunning capture of President Nicolas Maduro, now behind bars in the U.S., set to face charges in court in New York City, 24 hours after the president said the U.S. would run Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro and his wife handcuffed as they arrived in New York City. Maduro showing 2 thumbs up, wishing federal agents Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Maduro is expected in court tomorrow to answer narco-terrorism charges. New details emerging about the extraordinary U.S. military operation to extract Maduro from his safe house inside a heavily fortified military installation. 150 U.S. aircraft taking off from 20 locations, extraction teams flying less than 100 feet above the surface. A covert CIA news to Venezuela's president saying will pay a very big price does not cooperate. Martha Raddatz with the latest reporting. 24 hours after President Trump claimed the U.S. would now run Venezuela, what the administration is now saying tonight. The president, who campaigned on getting America out of foreign wars, now says he will not rule out American boots on the ground in Venezuela. Tonight, the scene inside Venezuela, a mix of celebration and fear over the country's future. Many relieved Maduro is gone, but asking what comes next. And tonight, the human toll from the U.S. operation. James Longman at the border with Venezuela. Tonight, President Trump's focus on Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. The president says U.S. oil companies will rebuild Venezuela's oil infrastructure. What happens to the oil in the meantime, with Russia and China getting oil from Venezuela? Major airlines are now scrambling to get back on schedule after flights were canceled in the Caribbean, stranding thousands of travelers. World News Tonight begins now.
From ABC News, World Headquarters in New York, this is with.
Good evening and happy so much for joining us on this busy on this Sunday night. Questions in the wake of Nicolas Maduro's capture. With about its legality.
Don't notice other
And Venezuela outbursts. Trump won't, but Venezuela.
as well as challenge the source.
Plus, who now poses the greatest threat to Canada's Arctic sovereignty? The Canadian lumber industry's reliance on the U.S. and imperial measurements means it's not measuring up for new opportunities abroad.
Global National.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The aftermath of the U.S. military's deadly raid on Venezuela's capital early Saturday to capture authoritarian President Nicolas Maduro is now coming into focus. Maduro is in U.S. custody facing charges related to drug smuggling. But uncertainty hangs over Venezuela as U.S. President Donald Trump insists his administration will run the country in the meantime. A stance that's stirring more controversy as he faces accusations of violating international law. Candace Cole has tonight's top story.
Damage and destruction are now all that's left of the military fortress deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro called home.
Vean ustedes ahí todo lo que pasó.
This man, now homeless as a result of the U.S. military's clandestine operation to capture Maduro and his wife, Celia, early Saturday morning. Both are now being held at a detention facility in Brooklyn, New York, awaiting a court appearance Monday. They, along with 4 others, Maduro's son, 2 former government officials, and an alleged leader of the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, all named in this indictment, facing charges on narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, and weapons dating back to 1999. When asked guesses face the nation, why not capture everyone named in the indictment, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said,
"They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority."
Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez is now interim president as ordered by Venezuela's Supreme Court.
She's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again.
Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States would run the country temporarily, but expressed interest in working with Rodriguez for the time being. However, in an interview with The Atlantic, Trump threatened her with a similar fate, saying, quote, "If she doesn't do what's right, she is going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro."
She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country.
Trump dismissed any notion of power going to opposition leader and Nobel Prize winner Maria Corina Machado. Shortly after learning of Maduro's capture, Machado called for his opponent, Edmundo Gonzalez, widely recognized as the winner of Venezuela's 2024 presidential election, to assume power immediately as mandated by
Deposed Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro is now spending his first full day in jail at the same Brooklyn detention center that's held high-profile inmates like Ghislaine Maxwell, Sean Diddy Combs, and crypto fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. It currently houses Luigi Mangione, the alleged United Healthcare CEO assassin. Let's bring in New York Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis. It's my understanding, Congresswoman, that the jail is in your district. Do I have that right?
Well, it's about 30 blocks outside my district, yes. But, you know, here in New York City, you have people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who also represent the area, who are actually condemning this operation that captured this violent thug, this thug that not only pressed his own people, but worked with the drug cartels to poison and kill countless Americans. And so this is a day of justice. This is exciting to see it unfold, and we are pleased that he will finally face the court system and the judicial system. We hope to see justice delivered here, because the crimes that this man has committed, along with the drug cartels, are very egregious, and they were a threat not only to the public safety of the Americans, but the national security implications of his relationship with China, with Russia, with Iran, with Hezbollah. And for the Democrats in the city to actually say that somehow President Trump did the wrong thing here is truly outrageous, but it's not surprising, considering that they too are socialists who would love to bring those very same policies here to New York City and the country.
Yeah, one of those people who's very upset about what's transpired here is the brand new mayor of New York City. Well, listen to what Zoran Mamdani has to say.
I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change, to the violation of federal international law, and a desire to see that be consistent each and every day.
How would you answer the mayor's comments there, Congresswoman?
Well, what's interesting is for the entire campaign, I pointed out how similar his proposals were to what they actually did in Venezuela that destroyed that country, from seizing the means of production to having government-run supermarkets, from turning private housing into public communes. It's really interesting to see this dynamic unfolding right here. But what I would say to the mayor is, you have 8 million people who fled Venezuela. That is nearly the population of the entire city of New York. Maybe you should ask some of the Venezuelans here in New York why they fled, what this dictatorship.
Hello and very good morning to you. This is Sky News at 4 a.m. here in the UK. These are your latest headlines. Venezuela's president is behind bars in New York and could appear in court on drugs charges in the next 24 hours.
Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation!
Outside his prison, outrage at America's violation of another nation's sovereignty. While in Venezuela's capital, concerned residents stockpile food and money, their country's future now uncertain. Also this morning, Swiss officials identify all 40 victims of the Switzerland bar fire as emergency service workers join families for a memorial mass. And boxer Anthony Joshua is back in the UK as funerals are held for his two friends killed in a car crash in Nigeria. Hello and a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News. There's an eerie, uneasy calm in Venezuela since the US launched its dramatic military operation to capture the country's President Nicolas Maduro. He's now being held thousands of miles away in a prison in New York ahead of an expected court appearance later. The US Secretary of State has insisted America is not at war with Venezuela, but President Trump has warned the country's interim leader that she may pay a bigger price if she doesn't do what's right. We'll hear from Venezuelans concerned about their future in a moment, but first our US correspondent James Matthews has this report from New York.
At a jail in Brooklyn, there is high security for an inmate of the highest profile. Nicolas Maduro is in the Metropolitan Detention Center, the MDC, home to the VIP, pending his appearance in court. They brought him by boat, then by plane, a prisoner in the hands of his captors. There was a helicopter transfer and the perp walk, a president in handcuffs in the company of the co-accused, his wife, Celia Flores. Maduro seemed in good form on his bad day. Good night, he said to drug enforcement agents.
Good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, he said, a head of state who'd known happier times. This had been him barely 24 hours earlier, meeting a Chinese delegation amidst the opulence of his base in Caracas as the clock ticked on his freedom. In the wake of what happened on Saturday, the United States has again addressed what happens now. Donald Trump had said they'd run Venezuela. It prompted defiance from the Venezuelans left in power. From the US Secretary of State, there was a preview of discussions to come.
Ultimately, we hope this leads to a holistic transition all the way around in Venezuela, societal, political, all of it. We're in favor of all of that. But right now, we have to take the first steps. And the first steps are securing what's in the national interest of the United States and also beneficial to the people of Venezuela. I assure you, the people left behind in Venezuela now that are in charge of the police and everything else, I assure you, they're going to probably be a lot more compliant than Maduro was as a result of this.
In Venezuela, the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has called America's action an atrocity that violates international law. It is a...
Today, the US president outlines his plan for Venezuela, claiming the US is in charge.
Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back. The country is a mess.
While in Venezuela, demonstrators voiced their support for the deposed president captured by US forces. More rain forecast for already sodden parts of Queensland's northwest. And England set a target of 385 in the final test match of the Ashes. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McKay. President Donald Trump says the US is in charge in Venezuela after his country's special forces captured President Nicolas Maduro at the weekend. The deposed president is being held in a detention facility in Brooklyn, awaiting court on drug-related charges. Venezuela's military has recognized Maduro's deputy, Delcy Rodriguez, as the country's acting leader. President Trump has told reporters on Air Force One the US is now running Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And Don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It's we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want to?
At the right time, I will. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been if I had lost the election. We would have been a dead country.
Donald Trump has also foreshadowed military action against Colombia's government.
Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor. And that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick, too. Run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S.
It sounds good to me.
Meanwhile, many world leaders have criticized the US action in Venezuela, with the United Nations saying it's deeply concerned international law has not been respected. We'll have all the reaction and analysis from on the ground in the United States and Venezuela shortly. But first, here's North America correspondent Rachel Clayton, who's in New York.
Behind me is the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where President Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, are being held. The pair were taken here after disembarking a plane in upstate New York last night. US forces captured the pair during a 2.5-hour operation in Venezuela over the weekend. The White House released a video of President Maduro walking the halls of this detention center last night. He was wearing a black tracksuit and said, "Good night and Happy New Year." This morning, protesters gathered outside this detention center calling for the release of President Maduro and demanding that the United States leave Venezuela.
They are innocent and they need to be released. The U.S. government is making up all these lies against the president because all that they want is the largest oil reserve in the planet that lies under the soil of Venezuela.
We have a long
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Paul Sirk. At this hour, Venezuela's political future in limbo. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez holds her first cabinet meeting after U.S. forces ousted Nicolas Maduro over the weekend. Donald Trump claims Washington will run the South American country. Oil prices swing as investors wait to see how the capture of Maduro plays out and what could be next for the country and its massive oil reserves. Plus, geopolitics and trade will take center stage as Chinese President Xi Jinping and South Korean counterpart Lee Jae-myung meet in Beijing for their first summit in 6 years. The tussle for control over Venezuela is ramping up 2 days after U.S. forces ousted leader Nicolas Maduro by capturing him in a lightning strike on his country. U.S. President Donald Trump insists Washington is in charge. That's despite having to deal with Maduro's deputy Delcy Rodriguez, who has taken over the leadership as acting president.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want to?
At the right time, I will.
Ms. Rodriguez has reportedly held her first cabinet meeting. Mr. Trump says Venezuela is a dead country that needs to be brought back with big investments by oil companies. He threatened Ms. Rodriguez she could face a fate worse than her predecessor. He told The Atlantic magazine that if she does not do what is right, she's going to pay a very big price, potentially bigger than Maduro. Maduro is expected to be arraigned at his first court appearance in New York in less than a day's time. He and his wife face 4 counts, including conspiracies involving narco-terrorism and cocaine importation. Maduro is being held in a Brooklyn jail. Venezuela's defense minister said a large part of the Maduro security team was killed in the U.S. attack. Top U.S. diplomat Marco Rubio told Venezuela's defense minister said a large part of the Maduro security team was killed in the U.S. attack. Top U.S. diplomat Marco Rubio told CBS these are Washington's demands.
stop drug trafficking, stop gang members going to the US, no Iranian and Cuban presence like in the past, and the oil industry benefiting the people, not pirates and adversaries of the US. Mr. Rubio also clarified what it means for the US to be, quote, running Venezuela.
What we are running is the
Africa News. The news.
Renewed tensions are flaring in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, with fresh fighting reported around the city of Uvira in South Kivu province. Clashes broke out Saturday in several localities about 10 kilometers south of Uvira, involving the Congolese army supported by Wazalendo fighters and M23 rebels, backed by Rwanda, says the UN. Witnesses say heavy weapons fire was heard in the highland areas and at times in residential neighborhoods, while activity continued in central Rivera. Insecurity has forced residents from nearby localities to flee towards the city. Displaced families are sheltering in churches and public buildings, facing difficult conditions due to limited access to clean water and basic services. Displaced families are sheltering in churches and public buildings, facing difficult conditions due to limited access to clean water and basic services. Civil society organizations warn that the humanitarian situation is deteriorating as displacement increases. Calls are growing for all parties to respect existing agreements and implement immediate ceasefire.
Dozens of people are missing after a boat carrying more than 200 migrants on their way to Europe capsized off the coast of the Gambia on New Year's Eve. Over 100 survivors have already been recovered, with search and rescue operations still ongoing, Gambian President Adama Barrow said on Friday.
So far, 102 persons have been rescued, with a number of victims still under urgent medical care. Sadly, only 7 bodies have been recovered, but search and rescue operations are ongoing to locate those still unaccounted.
Local fishermen and volunteers joined emergency services in searching for victims. Adama Barrow said the government will launch a comprehensive investigation into the incident.
Fear and uncertainty grip Venezuela following a dramatic US military operation. In a surprise strike early Saturday, American forces launched a large-scale assault and, according to US officials, seized President Nicolas Maduro. President Donald Trump announced the operation online, saying Maduro was flown out of the country, ending months of escalating pressure.
Sentirse asustado como todo amaneció el venezolano como tal día de hoy.
How do I feel? Scared like everyone. Venezuelans woke up scared. Many families couldn't sleep. I've been on the streets. I just came back from Marrakech. Everything's blocked. Everything's down. Very bad.
Y bueno, arriesgó de muchas cosas.
In Caracas, residents have rushed to shops, stocking up on food as uncertainty spreads. Maduro's government has condemned the US action as an imperialist attack, a claim echoed by some on the streets of the capital.
Ellos son los que imponen la ley, pues. Son los policías.
They impose the law, the US. They are the police of the world, assassin police. They are assassins. They are not normal people. They are assassins.
Son asesinos.
US media report Maduro and his wife are now in custody in New York.
This is DW News. These are our top stories. Venezuela's ousted President Nicolas Maduro is due to appear in a New York City court on Monday to face drug and weapons charges. He was seized in a U.S. operation early on Saturday. The White House is now ramping up pressure on Venezuela's interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, after initially saying the U.S. would run the country for an unspecified period. Fresh protests in the Iranian capital Tehran have added to pressure on the Islamic leadership. At least 12 people have been killed in recent unrest, the biggest anti-government demonstrations in 3 years. The protests have been fueled by runaway inflation and anger over civil rights restrictions. Berlin's mayor says left-wing extremists probably carried out an attack on the electricity grid that has left tens of thousands of homes and businesses without power. It may be several days until the supply is reconnected. A well-known extremist group wrote to police saying it was responsible. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find more on our website, dw.com.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24. These are the headlines. A commission created to free abducted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, however, saying she wants to work in cooperation with Washington. Delcy Rodriguez holds her first cabinet meeting as Maduro and his wife are expected to appear in court in New York this Monday. We'll be crossing live to our security and the Denmark attack. And at least 30 people killed and others kidnapped in Nigeria. A raid on a market saw stalls burned, shops looted. The attack happening in the same state where hundreds of children were abducted from schools just last month. Good to have you with us. Well, also coming up, Selena.
Thank you for watching Ahmed Shakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.